Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, not joined by my co-host and wife, Kathy, today. My wife, Kathy, is still in the hospital where she's been since Saturday, which I'll talk about in a little bit. She is doing better, but she's still in the hospital. And thank you, everyone who sent your prayers and left comments on the YouTube videos and everything I've made about this, because Kathy does read those from her hospital bed, and they certainly do cheer her up. Well, we got a lot to talk about, a lot to get into, and I want to start. There was a moment with Nancy Mace with Maria Bartiromo on Fox Business talking about the upcoming testimony of Hunter. And you know, Hunter Biden, if you watch the news, Hunter Biden is so ready to go and testify, you would think, right? It's what it looks like. I mean, the impression is he wants to testify, he wants to talk, he can't wait, he wants to do it on television. And I've listened to a lot of people over the last couple of days talk about this, and I think everyone, I haven't heard anybody look at it the way I'm looking at it. No one has said, why is he so open to testifying? Why is he so open to testify? Well, you know, the reason that Hunter Biden is so open to testifying is because, and I know this is hard for a lot of people to grasp, when I first started understanding the way that these criminals think, this was a hard concept for me to understand for quite a while. But Hunter Biden is so excited about testifying, and he would like to do it on television at an open hearing, because he is so far gone, he does not realize that he's a criminal. He does not realize that he has been laundering money for his father. He does not realize his dad is a criminal. If you go back to the laptop and with his MacBooks, he had his email and his text messages all synced through his devices. And that's why there's so much communication available. And I mean, I have my devices synced that way. My text messages come on my phone and my iPad, on my desktop Mac. And although I have all things turned off on my laptop because I don't use the MacBook that much, but his text messages and everything are available on his laptop. That's how we have so much information in his emails. And if you go back to those emails, you may have forgotten, maybe you haven't, but if you go back to the Hunter Biden emails, he was writing his sister a lot about this, and his uncle, but he was writing his sister at one of them, and he was really angry that he had to give so much of the money that he has earned to his dad and to others, and there's so little left for him. Hunter Biden, as crazy as this sounds, thinks that he is an international businessman. He's lucky to be born into a family with a lot of connections. He's not that far gone with all of his mental problems and addictions, but he actually thinks that this is money that he has earned legitimately through business. And that's crazy, but that's what he thinks. And that's why he's so willing to testify, because in Hunter Biden's mind, he has not done anything wrong. He's got nothing to hide. And that's absolutely amazing, because if the Republicans ask the right questions, they're going to get shocking, surprising, and amazing answers from Hunter Biden. If they ask the questions. Will they ask the right questions? We'll find out when we watch it. I think the Republicans will, because in some of these other hearings, there was one in particular, I can't remember which one this was. Maybe you guys do, and you can let me know in the comments. But in one of the hearings, all of the Republicans gave their time to Jim Jordan, and Jim Jordan did all the questioning. Remember that? And that was a very effective technique. And I would hope they would do something similar to that this time with Hunter Biden. But anyway, Nancy Mace was interviewed by Maria Bartiromo, and of course, Nancy Mace, she's seen the evidence, she's seen the document, she knows what's going on. And well, let me just play the audio, and then we'll talk about it.
How much money do you believe the Biden family has pocketed at this point?
Oh, well, it's north of $50 million. The amount of money that we're talking about that we've seen in suspicious activity reports, the amount of money that's been laundered through that family, through their corruption, is going to be north of that. And I think it's significant sums. And, was it cash? Was it credit card? How was this done? Where did Joe Biden have access to the money? All these things can come forward through the testimony of people like Hunter Biden and those affiliated with him. And this is just the start. I want to bring in the bookkeeper. I want to bring in other witnesses and whistleblowers. There's so many different points to this investigation. It's going to take a bit of time, but the deposition is the first place to start. And I can't wait to take my turn with Hunter Biden on this.
Okay, well, that sounds like they're not going to yield to anybody, that they all want to have their turn because their moment. I understand. They want to have their moment of glory and all of this stuff. I get it. That's a lot to add. That's a big ask for them to yield their time to someone. But she says that he is laundered. They have records of him laundering north of $50 million for Joe Biden. And, this is just how Washington works. I know a lot of people say that. It's true. These lifelong Washington class people, their entire life is based on some type of corruption through information, connections, or influence they have with whatever office they hold. I mean, look at Nancy Pelosi's husband, right? He's in the investment business. His stock trades have outperformed the top hedge funds on Wall Street because he has insider information through his wife in Congress. So they've all got some racket. I was talking this morning on the live stream this morning that Billy Carter took hundreds of thousands of dollars from foreign countries while his brother was president for nobody knew what, Billy Carter. So this certainly is how Washington works. The difference is with what's going on here is Biden, of course, has taken things to a level beyond anyone else. The level of corruption that he is involved in, the dollar amounts and everything, is far beyond what other elected officials, to our knowledge, have done. The only one that would come close would be outside this country, and that would be Zelensky, because there was reporting earlier this week that Zelensky, through two business partners of his, has bought 2 yachts. One of them's in France. So, but he's not an American. Here in the United States, we don't know of anybody that's done it at the level of Joe Biden. But, this political corruption, which oftentimes is in the form of earmarks through political contributions, insider trading, which many of them do, like I was talking about with Pelosi's husband, deals with their children and other relatives, son-in-laws, daughter-in-laws. A lot of these members of Congress have relatives on the boards of directors at different companies. There's all kinds of ways they've been doing it. And the country has been willing to accept that, I think, forever, because we just figured that's how it is. What are we going to do about it? And this political corruption is something that we've just accepted. It doesn't mean we like it or approve of it, think it's okay, it's wrong, it's evil, it's terrible, because you and me, we all work very, very hard to earn a living, to support ourselves, support our families, and everything else. And these guys are involved in all this crooked business. But we've accepted it. That's the way it is. But then they started this lawfare nonsense against President Trump, who's done nothing wrong. Donald Trump is not guilty of one single crime that they've accused him of. And they have this lawfare against him, taking him and his family, Jared Kushner, others, to court, charges, accusations, mugshots, accusing a completely innocent man, Donald Trump, and those around him of all kinds of crimes. And they've even gotten plea deals with people like Jenna Ellis and Sidney Powell and others, people that are completely innocent, like Mayor Giuliani. And the American people, which, if you look at the polls, the majority of the American people, at least those who vote, are behind President Trump. The majority of the American people have said, enough of this corruption. We're not going to stand for it anymore. You could get away with your corruption until you took this abuse of power with this lawfare, criminally using the justice system in Fulton County or the Justice Department or New York or New York State, New York City, and bring charges against a totally innocent man and associates around his, Donald Trump. And so people are really fed up with this and want this to end. And we've got this new wave of MAGA Republicans in Congress, Jim Jordan, Nancy Mace, the others, Marjorie Taylor Greene and others, Matt Gaetz, there's a handful of others, who are not involved in any corruption, and they have this standard of not profiting off the office. Not profiting off the office is something that doesn't even make sense to the permanent Washington class. So Hunter Biden's so eager to testify because he's been raised in this political corruption of his father. He just thinks that's the way it works. He doesn't understand that what he's done is criminal. I know that's crazy, but that's what it is. Now, I wanted to play this clip of the mayor of Chicago, this new mayor of Chicago, this socialist. You know, it's really sad about Chicago and all the other major cities around the country where crime is just allowed. You know, and where I live in a very low crime area, and I monitor the crime stats and, you know, and I've got the Nextdoor app, so I monitor anything that happens. And the reason that crime in a neighborhood like mine is low and it's high in other areas, and this may be true for your neighborhood too. For example, we have the Nextdoor app, right? Anytime anyone in my neighborhood has any problems at all, it's on the Nextdoor app, okay? It's on the Nextdoor app. We don't, or we call the police. I've talked many, many times how I saw some teenagers a few years ago steal a bicycle from the kid's house across the street, and I called the police. And 5 police cars, by the way, showed up for that. And a lot of people, when that first happened, I told that story, and some people laughed at me, calling the police because a bicycle was stolen. Well, when you call the police and you turn in criminals when they do crime and you have zero tolerance for crime, you'll find that you're in a very low crime area because criminals won't do crime in an area where everyone's going to call the police if a crime is done. Plus, everybody in my neighborhood has cameras everywhere. How many of you have cameras all over you? I mean, my house is surrounded by cameras. All my neighbors have cameras. Everybody has cameras now. And there, you know, with the Nextdoor app, which I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with, it's kind of like a Facebook, but for the neighborhood. It's all over the place. It's not just local to my neighborhood. But the few times people have, they'll put up there that some kids broke into the car, and maybe the car wasn't locked or whatever, because sometimes people leave the cars unlocked. They put the camera footage from their doorbell camera, from a camera in front of their house. They'll take a screenshot of that and put it on the Nextdoor app, and people in the neighborhood will identify them, and those kids will get caught. And places like Chicago and the other major cities where there's a lot of crime, the people in those cities they put up with crime. You know, like I was saying earlier, how the country has accepted political corruption until now. You know, people in Chicago and other areas where there are a lot of crimes accept the crime. They don't turn in the criminals. And so criminals escalate, and you end up living in a crazy place. And the next thing you know, you are upset when the police arrest criminals and things like this. So this new mayor of Chicago, this socialist mayor of Chicago, had a press conference yesterday and was talking about the crime in Chicago and why it's so bad. Listen to this.
You know, what we've seen is a very raggedy form instituted by right-wing extremism. Everyone knows that the right-wing extremism in this country has targeted democratically ran cities. And quite frankly, they've been very intentional about going after democratically ran cities that are led by people of color. And their whole motivation is to create disruption and chaos, because that's what that particular party has been about, right? This is the same political party that did not want to accept that President Obama was actually an American. It's the same Republican right-wing extremism that stormed the Capitol. It's the same right-wing extremism that refuses to accept the results of the Civil War. It's raggedy. It's disrespectful. It's mean-spirited. It's an unclean spirit, quite frankly.
What does he mean that we don't accept the results of the Civil War? Is he upset that the South lost since the South were Democrats? And Barack Obama, if you remember, did not produce a birth certificate. He became president and no one had seen his birth certificate. And that's unheard of. I mean, how many times have you in your life had to produce a birth certificate? I had to produce a birth certificate for several things, including my passport. And they gave Obama control of the entire country, every agency of the federal government, and the nuclear football, and command of all of our military without a birth certificate. That's crazy until Donald Trump got him to produce a document that was a copy of a document that he said was his birth certificate. But the way this idiot Chicago mayor, he's acting like that conservatives are doing the crime in Chicago. No. We're just talking about it, and we're highlighting it because we don't want the people in these cities to be crime victims. We don't want them to live in terror. We don't want their kids to be in danger when they go to school. We don't want parents being afraid that their kids aren't going to make it home just because a stray bullet from a couple gangbangers goes the wrong way and hits an innocent child. This happens. And it's so bizarre that the mayor of Chicago is more upset that people are talking about the crime in his city than the criminals that are doing the crime. And that's an example of liberals who really don't mind that there is crime going on in their community. I don't quite understand it. It's mostly in Chicago, minority on minority crime, sometimes black on black, Hispanic on black, black on Hispanic. And so, of course, there are white people that are, I'm sure, that do some crime there too, and are certainly victims. But most of the crime, both sides of it, both the criminal and the victim, are minority in Chicago because it's a majority minority city. And he's upset that people are talking about it. He's not upset at the criminals. He's upset that people talk about the crime in his city. This is insane. Now, listen, guys, it's the Christmas shopping season, no doubt about it. There's no better place to do your Christmas shopping than MyPillow.com. With our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, you can get huge deals. You can take advantage of all the specials at MyPillow.com with our promo code Kane. Kane at checkout, not just the ones that I talk about, okay? But I do want to tell you about the Mattress Topper 2.0 with temperature regulating technology. It is 50% off with our promo code Kane. Kathy and I sleep on the MyPillow 2.0. People have asked me, the MyPillow 2.0 mattress topper is a 3-inch mattress topper. It's a major upgrade on the original mattress topper, which was spectacular. When you sleep on the MyPillow mattress topper 2.0, you're turning your whole mattress into a big MyPillow. You know, growing up, and I'm sure you guys remember this, mattresses used to be two-sided. And then like once a year or whenever you felt like it, you'd flip the mattress over and it was like having a new mattress. And mattresses would last forever. Well, the mattress companies woke up to that, and now they really don't have double-sided mattresses anymore. Okay? So they want to force you to buy new mattresses. If you have a lumpy, bumpy mattress, get yourself the mattress topper from MyPillow, the 2.0 with temperature regulating technology that keeps your body the perfect temperature all year long, winter, summer, or fall. Although we don't have all those seasons here in Florida. We have winter where it gets down in as low as in the 60s, sometimes 50s. I'm serious. But in the summers, it's pretty hot, and it keeps you the perfect temperature all year long. It makes a great gift for Christmas. It comes in every mattress size there is. So go to MyPillow.com, use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, save big money, and you're also supporting this program and all of my content. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there's a lot more to share. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian, sadly not joined by my wife today. She is still, unfortunately, in the hospital. We'll take that break and be right back.
Are you searching for that perfect holiday gift or a little something special for yourself? Your search ends right now with Rana Loves Art on Etsy, an Etsy store where you'll find a treasure trove of artistic wonders that will delight and inspire you. Rana Loves Art is an art print shop like no other. They offer a wide array of beautiful and unique art prints, custom designed t-shirts for both men and women that are perfect for pet lovers, coffee enthusiasts, and anyone who appreciates designs that promote positivity. At Rana Loves Art on Etsy, you'll enter a world where artistry meets timeless elegance. Each design is a labor of love, and Rana Loves Art's deep passion for art and design. Rana Loves Art on Etsy also believe that art can change lives. That's why they partnered with an underprivileged school in Bangladesh, sharing the gift of art with children. And for every piece of artwork that Rana Loves Art on Etsy sell, they'll donate $1 to support their education. Not only are you getting exquisite art, but you're also helping to brighten the lives of those in need. Start shopping right now at Etsy.com/CA/shop/Rana Loves Art. Etsy.com/CA/shop/Rana Loves Art. Shop with a purpose, make a difference, and surround yourself with art that speaks to your heart. Rana Loves Art on Etsy, your destination for creativity, inspiration, and positive impact. Etsy.com/CA/shop/Rana Loves Art. Life can be difficult, and sometimes challenges can seem impossible to overcome. There's a devoted father on a mission that's deeply personal and profoundly important. A dad who's been tirelessly working to reunite his family. His goal is to bring his children back home where they belong. The twins are still in foster care, and their little sister who stays with him all share one wish: to be together again under one roof with their dad's warm embrace. He's a hard-working taxi driver, but he's had to reduce his hours so he can care for his youngest daughter so that she's never home alone. The struggles of fathers like this are often silent, but they are no less profound. And in this quiet struggle, your generosity could make all the difference. Your support has the power to lift the weight from a single dad's shoulders, to aid in the healing of a family that's torn apart, and to help a father's unwavering love overcome adversity. Go to GoFundMe.com and search "Help a Devoted Dad Keep His Family Afloat." Every contribution, no matter how big or small, brings the family one step closer to being whole and together again. Share the GoFundMe link on all your social media so your friends can help too. Make a difference in their lives right now. Go to GoFundMe.com and search "Help a Devoted Dad Keep His Family Afloat." Your support means the world to them. Again, go to GoFundMe.com and search "Help a Devoted Dad Keep His Family Afloat." From author Stephanie Tayo comes a book that takes place in Cornwall, Ontario, where it seems that dreams can come true and life feels uncomplicated. But one young woman's world is about to be forever transformed. Love Beyond Age. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other online booksellers. In Love Beyond Age, meet Quinn. She's a determined soul with aspirations of becoming a psychologist. She shares a simple life with her dad, saving every penny for her dreams. But life has a way of throwing unexpected curveballs. Everything changes when she crosses paths with James, whose presence by the river ignites a connection neither can deny. As their university journeys begin, Quinn finds herself torn between her deepening connection with the mysterious James and her growing feelings for her competitive friend Jasper. Secrets are unveiled, revelations come to light, and Quinn discovers a shocking truth about James' hidden secret. As danger lurks on the horizon, relationships are put to the test, and old emotions resurface. A love triangle takes hold, pushing Quinn to the brink. She faces a choice that will shape her future and define her path. Love Beyond Age, from author Stephanie Tayo, is a story of love, secrets, and choices that will tug at your heartstrings. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, Apple Books, and other online booksellers. Order your copy right now and be transported to a world where romance is intertwined with the complexities of life. Love Beyond Age, from author Stephanie Tayo. Order your copy right now.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. And I want to talk about something I say this a lot, and I want to get into some details about this. And I had a discussion with Steve Kane about this morning on the morning show. I say quite often that I will not criticize Trump nor disagree with Trump. That's true. And I say that proudly. And Steve was giving me a hard time about that. And a lot of people that are conservative, that even claim to be MAGA conservatives, they say you can't do that. You'll have no credibility. And Steve was asking me, he says, so if Trump says something that you disagree with, you'll hide that from the audience, you'll lie? And I said, well, he has never said nor done anything that I disagree with. So I can't imagine that happening. But if Trump were to do something or say something that I might disagree with, I would come to realize that I was the one that was in the wrong, right? I would realize I was wrong. I was mistaken. And this is a very important thing. And I know some people listening will think, oh, you're crazy. You guys are a bunch of cult members. No. I often talk about President Trump not as a politician, not as a president, but as a civil rights leader. He is a civil rights leader, and he is leading the largest civil rights movement in the history of this great country. And that's not to take anything away from the great Martin Luther King, who I have incredible amounts of respect for. But the MAGA movement's larger than Dr. King's movement. And President Trump's MAGA movement is more diverse than Martin Luther King's movement. Martin Luther King's movement did not only have black people in it, but it was majority black people. There were white people in his movement too and others, but it was mostly blacks. President Trump, his movement involves every skin color, every religion, and of course, men and women in this great country of ours. And when I say that he's a civil rights leader, he is leading the entire American people to freedom from slavery and oppression from the deep state, the permanent Washington class, and all this nonsense like I was talking earlier about the lawfare against President Trump. And he really has not said or done anything that I could disagree with, ever. And anytime people have pointed to Trump being wrong, he always is proven to be right, isn't he? But here's the thing. Ronald Reagan famously said that if you agree with me 80% of the time, we're in the same tent, the great Republican tent. And the MAGA movement, they're not these fake MAGA people, but I'm talking about the true MAGA movement. We are 100% in agreement on everything, that we need to be free from the uniparty, the political class, the permanent Washington class, the deep state, et cetera, the globalist, all of that. And I personally believe that President Trump is the first president of the United States who got in there by the support of the American people, not the parties. The political parties have the system we have with the primary system is an election system with the parties deciding who their nominee will be, and then we can only vote for electors for that nominee. Okay? And everyone that has been president of the United States prior to Donald Trump, going all the way back to George Washington, were politically connected, powerful people that were put up by the party of the day. Okay? And that is a reality of it. All of them. And the media, the establishment, all the powers that be who normally choose who the party nominees are, they didn't take Trump as someone who was a serious candidate early enough. So by the time they realized that it was too late, he already had the nomination. So he's the first president not to be forced upon us by the establishment. These other presidents not only are part of the establishment, they're groomed sometimes their entire lives to be there. I really realized this with John Kerry in 2004. It's hard to believe that's almost like 20 years ago, huh? Oh, my goodness. But when John Kerry was running for president against George W. Bush, I realized what this uniparty was all about. And it was, you may have heard me mention this before, but if you've not heard me talk about this will shock you. And what I'm about to tell you about, go on YouTube when you're done listening to the podcast and look this video up. There's very famous film footage of President Kennedy sailing his sailboat while he was president, and he's wearing that jacket with the presidential seal on it. It's pretty cool stuff. There's this geeky kid in a blue blazer and a camera who looks like he's in high school on the yacht with President Kennedy while he's president. That's John Kerry. John Kerry was so connected that when he was in high school, he was sailing around on President Kennedy's yacht being sailed by President Kennedy while he was president. That's crazy. That's how and you think it's just a coincidence? He ended up as a nominee of the Democrat Party. They're all connected in some way, shape, or form. If they're not connected, they've been bribed or blackmailed. Bribed like Biden through all of his crooked deals, or maybe they blackmail him like they tried to do with President Trump with the fake Russian dossier. So Donald Trump, without question, is the only president this country has ever had, certainly in the modern era, but I believe going all the way back to George Washington, who's been truly chosen by the people. And that's why the political establishment are just panicked. they've lost control for the first time in their lives. And these people are multi-generational. Some of them have been in these political dynasties that go back over 100 years. And the permanent political class, through Donald Trump, have lost complete control. They've lost all power over everything. And that's why the MAGA movement, we can't get sidetracked on minor issues, or maybe issues that are important, but they're a small picture of the big picture. And the big picture is we need Donald Trump back in 2024. If Donald Trump is not back in the White House in 2024, this country has truly fallen. Truly fallen. When you see what's going on in this country now, you know exactly what I mean. Things that are going on in this country now will get worse if Donald Trump's not back in the White House, and will become the new normal. This open border, we've always had problems at the southern border, but not at this level. This is the largest wave of illegal immigration that this country has ever seen. And maybe part of it has to do with the fact that the permanent Washington class think that Trump's going to be back and put a stop to it. So they're trying to get like 20 years worth of illegal immigration done in 4. Maybe. I don't know. But what's going on at the southern border will not only continue, it'll become worse because they'll feel invincible, that nothing can stop them if Trump is not back in 2024. So it's very important for MAGA to be united behind President Trump and each other, even if there are petty differences between people. There are always conflicts between people, like the great Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert. I've heard quite a bit. They don't get along. Well, you got to get over these petty differences, because there's a big picture here, and every MAGA person, whether it's George Santos or you or me, we've got to stand together. You know, like I stand with George Santos. They're going to expel this guy from Congress. Think about all the scummy things people in Congress have done, and they're going to expel him. I'm not saying that George Santos is a great guy and that he has not done the things they've accused him of, but let the voters decide. He says he's not running for re-election. Let him finish out his term. You know, we don't have that large of a majority in the House of Representatives. And he is a loyal MAGA voter. And I stand with George Santos to finish his term, because we need MAGA Republicans who are going to vote the MAGA way, not the Republican establishment way. Yeah, he doesn't have that much time. You know, House members only have 2 years. He's in the last year of his term. You know, he's got a year left. Let him ride out his term. What harm is he going to do voting yay, nay, or present in the House of Representatives? Are you kidding me? And whatever George Santos has done, it is jaywalking compared to what Mitch McConnell has done. It's jaywalking compared to what Joe Biden has done throughout his political career. It's absurd. But that's how important it is for MAGA to be united. So I proudly say that I will never criticize nor disagree with President Trump. And I don't think you should apologize for that either. And it's not just about being MAGA for life. This is not a normal type of election season we're in. This is not a normal election. This is an election that will decide. You know, listen, President Lincoln said, "Can the country survive half free, half slave?" Those are important words, important questions, important statements, and an important cause that Abraham Lincoln championed. But right now, we're not talking about whether or not the country is going to live half free or half slave. The MAGA decision is whether or not the whole country is going to be free or the whole country is going to be slaves. And I think that makes a lot of sense. And I don't think that's cult-like. And I bet you that you MAGA people that are listening to me agree with that. If we have these outlaws defeat Trump in 2024 that are doing the things they're doing now, like this proxy war in Ukraine, which is a money grab, the southern border issue that I was talking about, and all the other things that we could go through, but I don't need to. You guys know how bad things are and with what they're doing. Are we truly free? And I would say no. And the only person that can keep us free, bring our freedoms back, is Donald Trump. And his second term, a non-consecutive term, is going to go by quick because he's going to be very, very busy. But one of the most important things that Donald Trump will do in his second term is choose who his successor will be, who will be the 48th president and the second MAGA president. Because we need someone strong, and people can disappoint very quickly, can't they? Look at Ron DeSantis and how he disappointed all of us. Oh, my goodness. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that Ron DeSantis would have turned out the way that Ron DeSantis turned out? I never would have dreamed of that. Now, I want to thank our Patreon supporters. And I want to tell you guys, those of you that are Patreon supporters, your support of this program helps a lot. And for those that don't know what Patreon is, Patreon, it means patron. You're financially supporting the program. And if you're a Patreon supporter, there are perks, benefits, exclusives, commercial-free editions of all the podcast episodes and such, and a lot of exclusive content and things that Kathy and I put up there that others don't have access to. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on each and every episode. The names you will hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to give a thank you to Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Mike P, Carlos, Paulette, John, ActicFox, Heather, David, Melissa, and Maria in Texas. These are our top Patreon supporters. If you would like to become a patron of the program, there's a link to our Patreon page in the description of this and every episode, as well as a link on my website, briancraigshow.com. Click that link and it'll explain how to become a Patreon supporter. My name's Brian Craig. We'll take our last break and be back right after this.
This Christmas, give the gift of creativity, imagination, and endless fun with B-Blocks Building Blocks, available on Amazon. B-Blocks Building Blocks isn't just a fun gift, but it's educational too. It's a STEM toy of 500 pieces. That's right, 500 pieces to ignite your little one's creativity. Children will be introduced to a world of colors, shapes, and designs. They'll learn to play and create with 8 vibrant colors. From enhancing fine motor skills to exploring basic geometry and architecture, B-Blocks Building Blocks is fun and a powerful learning tool. And they click securely together, too. They're safe and cool, perfect for boys and girls. And this is a gift they'll cherish for years to come. B-Blocks Building Blocks are available in the B-Blocks store on Amazon. Just search B-Blocks, B-E-B-L-O-X. B-Blocks Building Blocks, because every child deserves the best. Only in the B-Blocks store on Amazon. Order your child's set right now. Are you ready to take your knowledge of the financial markets to the next level? Then add Beyond Markets with host Julius Baer, available on Apple Podcast and Spotify to your podcast playlist. Beyond Markets offers insightful conversations with experts who discuss current market trends, give their expert and valuable insights, and strategic perspectives from across the world. They cut through the noise to deliver actionable guidance and in-depth macroeconomic research on the ever-changing economic and market landscape of today. Check out their most recent episodes where they discuss central bank policies, the emerging opportunities of biotech, higher interest rates, how the recent events in the Middle East affect the markets, and so much more. Everything you ever would want to know about the financial markets is discussed by experts on Beyond Markets. Add Beyond Markets with host Julius Baer to your podcast playlist right now, and be sure to share the podcast on all your social media so your friends can tune in too. Beyond Markets with host Julius Baer on Apple Podcast and Spotify. Start listening right now. This Christmas, experience the magic of the season with the book Searching for Christmas from author Andre Herdoukas, available on Amazon. In Searching for Christmas, meet Ben, a young boy from an isolated orphanage who's never had the chance to experience the beauty of Christmas. But this year, everything changes. Ben embarks on a thrilling adventure to discover the holiday he's only dreamt of. To make his dream come true, he must conquer his fears and learn to play the accordion, hoping to charm the hearts of the townspeople. But his journey has its challenges. he must face the taunts of children in the orphanage and navigate the dangers of the forest on his way to the city. Along the way, Ben finds an unexpected friend in Dave, and together they learn the true meaning of friendship in the search for Christmas. Searching for Christmas is a touching story that will warm your heart and remind you of the joy and wonder that this magical season brings. Searching for Christmas is available in Kindle, paperback, and audiobook on Amazon. This will become a treasured part of the holiday season with your family. Order your copy of Searching for Christmas from author Andre Herdukas, available on Amazon in ebook, paperback, and audiobook. Get ready for an adrenaline-pumping journey into a world filled with intrigue and espionage from author Billy Wade. The sequel to his book, Fair Winds of Death, is now available on Amazon. Fair Winds of Deceit. It's October 1971, 4 months since the Navy's most prominent scientist disappeared without a trace. He left behind a top-secret submarine defense project that can't be completed without him. He must be found. Lieutenant Commander Marcus Colt, a highly decorated officer, is unlike any other agent in the NIS. He's become the Navy's go-to agent for finding leads and solving cases no other agents can. With the clock ticking to find the scientist and being distracted by his beautiful new partner, he's forced to deal with a series of murders and assaults that stretch his team thin. With lies and complexities everywhere, the team find themselves targets in an even deeper plot, a deadly plot that takes them to Italy. Lieutenant Commander Colt just might have what he needs to succeed if he can keep his team alive long enough to solve it. With unexpected allies and danger around every corner, Lieutenant Commander Colt races against time to crack the case and keep his team alive. Fair Winds of Deceit from author Billy Wade is available on Amazon. Order your copy right now. This book is perfect for book clubs. Fair Winds of Deceit from author Billy Wade on Amazon.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, not joined by my wife, sadly, today. Hopefully she'll be coming home soon. She's still in the hospital. And I just want to go through this next story, then I'll talk a little bit about the latest updates with Kathy. There's a big meltdown going on right now with President Trump taking on MSNBC. This is in Mediaite, but this is being widely reported. President Trump posted something on True Social, which I'll read to you in a moment. But the headline on Mediaite, Trump attacks slime boss CEO of MSNBC parent company, threatens to make them pay for their illegal political activity. The article goes on in Mediaite. It appears that President Donald Trump is not a fan of MSNBC. Well, I think you can make a good case that no one really is a fan of MSNBC. Their ratings are very low. Evidenced by a late-night social media post that attacked Comcast CEO Brian Roberts. Trump posted on his True Social account his latest targeting MSNBC. He claims that the left-of-center cable news outlet uses free government-approved airwaves, and they correct him here and say MSNBC, like all cable news outlets, is on cable and not broadcast on networks like ABC, CBS, NBC, and PBS. Well, that may be true, but they are there is an NBC there. They are connected. But the allegation may be embarrassing for the former president, but it wasn't the least of the eyebrow-raising comments. Trump called the Comcast CEO, Brian Roberts, a slime ball because he oversees a network that, in Trump's esteem, is nothing but a 24-hour hit job on Donald J. Trump. That's right. Let me read President Trump's True Social post. I'm reading word for word what President Trump wrote. MSNBC, and then he put in parentheses, MSDNC, uses free government-approved airwaves, and yet it is nothing but a 24-hour hit job on Donald J. Trump and the Republican Party for purposes of election interference. Brian Roberts, its chairman and CEO, was a slime ball who has been able to get away with these constant attacks for years. It is the world's biggest political contribution to the radical left Democrats, who, by the way, are destroying our country. Our so-called government should come down hard on them and make them pay for their illegal political activity. Much more to come. Watch. Okay. Now, see, what happened is it used to be, and Ronald Reagan stopped this, there used to be a thing in radio and television. This was for radio and television called equal time. Equal time. And Ronald Reagan stopped this. And equal time, what that meant is that if you had someone on television or radio and they said something on an opinion, if they said, I support Donald Trump, you were required under the equal time laws to have somebody on who hated Trump. You may remember on local news, you don't see this anymore. It may be around on your local news, but I don't see it on my local news. You used to get editorials on the local news that would be by the the executive that ran the local news station, the general manager or something. Remember those? They'd come on after the news broadcast and do an editorial on an issue. And then sometimes you would see a response by a regular person to that. You ever see that happen? They were required under the equal time laws that if the general manager of the television station made an editorial, they would have to have an opposing viewpoint on if they requested it. People used to do that all the time. And the reason that Rush Limbaugh was able to become nationally syndicated like he was is because of the ending of equal time. And when I first started in radio, equal time was gone. But it was only gone for a few years. And the people that ran radio stations then ran radio stations and worked at radio stations during the equal time period. So they still ran the radio stations like the equal time period. And they would have somebody on with every opinion. And there's nothing wrong with having people on with different opinions, but you were required. If you had somebody on who said, I think it's great that people have dogs, I love dogs, you would be required to have someone on who says, I hate dogs, I love cats. It was the law. Okay. And when equal time was ended by President Reagan, led to some other things like we have now. Okay. It gave us Rush Limbaugh as a national syndication powerhouse, but it's also given us these political activists like MSNBC and CNN. So that's the way it is. And equal time is something you do not want to have come back. The left have actually been wanting that to come back for a long time, and they want it to start being applied to the internet because they've lost control of the messaging. But what President Trump is talking about, though, as always, he is right. He is absolutely correct. MSNBC is an arm of the Democrat Party. And they have direct connections. There were people on their air like Senator Menendez with the bribes and the gold bars. His daughter is an anchor on MSNBC, and there's a lot of people on these news networks that are connected to people that are in government. S.E. Cupp, she's on CNN. She's married to a congressman. These people are very incestuous and they have connections. And some people may say, well, you're so pro-Trump. Yeah, but I don't have a financial connection or a family relation to Trump, the Trump organization, or the campaign. I'm independent. Everything I do is independent. I choose to do this. Okay? These people on these cable news networks and other outlets, they are placed there. They're placed there. Okay? Look how many former press secretaries have shows on the different cable news networks. Right? Yeah. So it's very incestuous, and President Trump's right. These are campaign ads that are working in collusion with the Democrat Party and the uniparty Republican establishment against the people, against President Trump. There's no doubt about it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now, I want to give you guys updates on Kathy. Kathy is still in the hospital. She had a procedure yesterday, and I've talked quite a bit about it, so I'll just give you the Reader's Digest version of what's going on. Kathy has an illness called pulmonary hypertension. Just an easy explanation. It's like high blood pressure of the lungs and heart. It's like high blood pressure, but of the lungs. And it's a very serious disease. She's had it since before we knew each other, before we were married. And for the last 27 years, she's been on a medication that is on an IV pump that 24 hours a day, a tube goes from this pump that she wears on her body like a purse, into a tube that's in her chest and pumps medicine directly into her heart 24 hours a day. And she's been on that medicine for 27 years. And when we first got married, the doctor told her she had 2 years to live. You imagine 2 years to live. And here we are 28 years later. Kathy and I, our 27th anniversary is coming up in just a few days. So it's very exciting. And what's happened is this medication she was on when she was first diagnosed with this illness, which was much more rare than it is now because people didn't get diagnosed with it and they didn't have treatments for it prior. And but when Kathy was first diagnosed with this illness, pulmonary hypertension, and they put her on this IV medicine, it was the only treatment. It was the only medicine for this illness. And they have recently approved a pill that you take twice a day that does what this IV medication that she's been wearing 24 hours a day does. It's a pill now that she takes a couple times a day. And what they did is they weaned her off of this pump and got her onto this pill. So she went from this IV medication to this pill, which is spectacular because we have 2 closets in our house that are just filled with medicine. Kathy has to mix this medicine, this older medicine from the IV pump. It's a powder. She has to mix it every day. It takes hours a day to do this. We get it delivered every month. It comes from UPS in this massive box that I can't even pick up. It's so heavy. It's massive. Now she's just taking 2 pills a day. And since she got off of this IV medication that she's been taking all these years, it's thrown a lot of other things out of whack in her body, several things. And one of them is her blood pressure. Her blood pressure has been extremely high, and that's why she went to the emergency room at our local hospital. And as I talked about on YouTube, they called her doctor. She has a specialist at a very prestigious hospital that's an hour away from us. Her doctor wanted her admitted to the hospital that he works out of, where her other specialists are. So they transported Kathy Saturday night by ambulance from our local hospital to the hospital she's been in since then. And they did a procedure on her yesterday, a cardiac cath, to check her heart and lung pressures, and found that this oral medication she's taking not only is working, it's working perfectly, and it is treating her pulmonary hypertension illness better than the old medication she'd been on for 27 years. But her blood pressure is still extremely high. And they're working with all kinds of different medications and everything, trying to get her blood pressure down. And if they can get her blood pressure down, they've gotten it down, but not down low enough to discharge her. If they get her blood pressure down a little bit lower, they'll discharge her and she'll be able to come home. So right now what's keeping her in the hospital is her very, very high blood pressure. So I'm hoping she'll be home tomorrow. I don't know if she'll be home tomorrow. I don't know if she'll be home the next day. But I'm hoping that she gets out of the hospital very soon and is home. And it's tough because the hospital, it's an hour drive if there's no traffic. And she had a procedure yesterday, and I was at the hospital all day with her. And then I came home after the procedure was done, and it took me like 2 hours to get home in this heavy traffic because it's time. So during the week it's a long drive, and so it's just tough for me to get there. And it's actually almost 100 miles from the radio station because the radio station is very far north of where we live. So it's been a tough week for Kathy, a tough week for me, but everyone out there who sent their prayers and everything, they are greatly appreciated by Kathy and myself. But if they get her blood pressure down, she'll be home soon. And the doctors, they know they'll be able to get it down, but it's, they got to find the right, they got to find the right medication and the right dosages. And because she has this other illness that's pretty serious, it's not like a normal healthy person having high blood pressure. She's got these, other illnesses, so they can't send her home with high blood pressure. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, I have high blood pressure, I take this or that. Because of her other health conditions, high blood pressure is a more serious thing. So that's what's keeping her in the hospital. But she is doing a lot better, and we just got this new medication she's on. is really a miracle, because I remember when she got on this oral medication, it was so rare. We had to actually fly to Los Angeles and have it done. There were very few places, very few hospitals and doctors that knew how to treat her condition or had access to this medication she's been on these years. So we had to go to a doctor at UCLA to have this original medicine 27 years ago with this pump attached to her done. And when we left the hospital, I remember this like it was yesterday, 27 years ago, the doctor said, in 10 years, we're going to have a pill that does this. And it took a little longer, took 17 more years on top of that, but it's finally here. And it's such a miracle because Kathy, because of this other medication, it has so many side effects. It makes it difficult for her to travel, to leave the house, and it keeps her homebound quite a bit. And this new medication, she and I both think it's going to allow her to be more mobile, more active, and get out of the house more, and be able to hopefully travel more and such. So it's pretty good news we've gotten, but still just watching the blood pressure issue. Well, guys, hey, listen, thanks everyone again for your support. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, named the number 3 must-listen-to conservative podcast in America. I'll talk to you next time.